All right, dude. We should be live now. I think you're getting the
I
tweet
just made the post.
out. I've got my Trading View account loaded up and ready to go. Welcome back, guys, to another Tuesday live crypto market analysis here on Wolf, sponsored by our friends at Ostium. And I've got Cade with me this week, man. I've been
Oh
running
yeah,
these solo, but I've got Cade with me on a Tuesday. These Tuesday ones have just been me. I've been having Ash joined me on the weekends to do kind of like a weekend um a little overview of like what happened, and then also kind of some prep for the new week. But yeah, these Tuesday ones are kind of like it's in the middle of the action, man. The week is opened. There's usually already something happening, and it's kind of like you're in the middle of whatever that move is. So we'll look at some stuff, man. But yeah, thanks for jumping on, man. It's always good to have you on these.
yeah. I miss these. I miss the streams, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
Good to hop on. We do a lot of the panels, and we're
Yeah,
kind of on. It's a lot of like it's. I mean, I guess this is also live, but it's more personal,
yeah.
more
Yeah,
intimate.
yeah, it's a little more focused, I think, than on like on a space. And then just the ability to like share a screen
It's out.
is valuable, dude. Yeah, even if it was just like a whiteboard and we are just scribbling on it, like I think that's still um so much more valuable than just chatting. So
Yeah.
very cool. Let me get this reposted as well, because right now I don't know why this thing is glitching where we have to manually repost and do all this stuff, but people are starting to come in. It takes a little while, and then we'll get some traction here. But yeah, dude, fun week, and then just man, dude, it's been back to back spaces today, so I feel like I haven't stopped all morning. But it's good because it puts me in like that flow state. You know what I mean? It's kind of why I don't mind it. Is like you're in the market, you're talking about the market, and it's just kind of this run on thing. Like it's just it doesn't end, man.
Yeah.
But
Some of
let
this
me let me see
you get
here.
like little breaks here and there. It's like kind of brutal.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like on the spaces, I guess this is an advantage of the spaces though, is that you can just mute yourself and you can get up
Yeah.
and do stuff, right? Like sometimes I'll go quickly get some coffee or use the restroom or whatever, go outside.
Yep.
The big concern there's just losing the Wi-Fi, or getting in a
True.
bad spot. But outside of that, we got Finn already jumping in. Welcome. I saw we had a repost by TSN. So
Hey.
appreciate that. Yeah, guys. Look, we're gonna do what we typically do on the Tuesday ones, which is we'll focus on BTC first, obviously, right? We'll talk BTC because Bitcoin is still king in crypto. It still really kind of dictates where the market's gonna go. So we'll look at BTC, and then we'll pivot into some of the majors. We'll pivot into some majors for sure. Kay, did you drop the link to Ostium as well
I
onto
was
the
gonna say, did
comments?
you have a different lane, or is it the same one as usual?
I had a slightly different one, but I guess it doesn't really matter, man. I mean, we could just drop either way. Where I'm telling them to use the same code Wolf
Oh, okay.
for
Got it.
Ostium. So
I have that one then.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I think the one I've been dropping just has different tracking for the clicks and the views, but it's
Got
all
it.
good, man. I mean, shoot, we can pull statistics on just general audience stuff.
Sure.
So
It's up. It's up now. It's the tweet down below.
beautiful. Yeah, guys, go check out Ostium if you haven't. It's a sweet platform. I know there's like they're starting to be more and more of these, but these guys just have a really smooth platform. It's built on Arbitrum. Simple wallet connect will get you in, get you trading. They've got tons of stuff that you can look at there, and they're actively building it out. They've had a long-standing relationship with Wolf. Kate, I mean, you've been working with them for quite a while now, so they're good people, man. You got to support people that support you.
100%. Yeah, Ostium is go to platform, dude. It was
Yeah.
actually something that Bits or Bad Price had said, I think, or maybe it was Landy, but they're just like it's kind of brutal juggling platforms. If you're
Hmm.
equities one day, then you switch and you want to dump Solana or something like that,
Yeah.
and it's just way easier on Ostium.
Well, even think about this, right? Like sometimes you might want to trade TradFi stuff, but you don't want to go like let's say you have crypto funds that you're like, man, well, I got to cash them out, I got to off
Mhm.
ramp them, I got to move them back to the bank, and then from the bank I got to move them over to Schwab or Robinhood or whatever it is that you're using, right? Or you can just use a platform like Ostium where you can use your crypto to trade some of these same assets, right? So it's just easier, man. It's just easier. It's kind of a hybrid hybrid model, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But let me pull up these charts, man. We'll look at BTC a little bit here. See if bam, there we go. We'll go with this view. See if we can see anything here. I did grab a long position this morning on that dump, and I'm still in that trade. My general here, I'll hide this for now. Like my thesis here is I'm really looking to stay long exposed for the potential that it reclaims back up into this channel. So this is a very clean 4-hour channel off of this previous swing low that we had back here last Thursday. If you connect that to the close here on that initial drop, and then just anchor on these highs, you can see you've got a nice clean range. Even the midline of this channel plays pretty nicely with price action. You can see here clearly price action was sitting on the midline, wick rejection here, failure to get above. So this channel I think is fairly accurate still until it's proven that it's not in play anymore. I'm going to stick to this. Now here, I don't really see this as a break of the channel just yet, because it's still too close. It's still in that margin of error. It's still in proximity to the bottom of the channel. And a lot of times when price moves just ever so slightly outside of a channel like this is what one of my mentors would call the channel failure setup, which is price looks like it fails the channel, right? It moves outside of the channel, and then what you end up getting is you just end up getting a beautiful reclaim that puts you back inside that range, right? So this is what I'm kind of playing this morning with the position I have open. I'm in at 90. What was my entry? I think it was like 96.9 or something like that right here. Or sorry, 66.9, not 96. I'm in the wrong zip code over here. 66.9, not 96.9. So I did grab that entry. I'm going to hold that at this point because of where I got in. I've got my stop basically at break even here. So if it comes down to get me, it just gets me out of the trade. No damage done other than it wasted some time. And, you incur a small little fee on the trade or whatever. But I think where I have it is in enough profit that, it offsets that. So not a big deal. Really the test here in like the super low time frame is we need to get above here, right? We put in these wicks here. We had this little rejection here at kind of the middle of the W, right? So you had kind of this W that came, got rejected there. It just recently rejected here. This is where Crank was just talking about how he took that short. So I think Crank printed on this move down here, and I think he closed it out somewhere down here. So he was able to take a short position here, put some money in his pocket, and I'm still in my long position. I'm waiting because I want to see something like this, Cade. I want to see a move that breaks up above these highs here, and then gives me a bullish retest where I would be looking to add some size to that initial position. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for to size it up. Right now, it's kind of just a starter position. Could pump as high as up here. This like 800 on the 15-minute. That's kind of where these fib lines are also starting to cross. So you could see if it does get some kind of a push here before the end of the U.S. session here, or even during the gap between U.S. and Asia, could get a nice pump. I'll be looking for that pullback to size into that trade for continuation up, because at that point, you like right now, you've got some clear highs that you need to get above. You've got a clear level that if you get above that, you're starting to put in some some higher lows. So
how much do the various markets, like if Asia starts, like how much does that factor into when you jump into a trade? Like if
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like so I can tell you a lot of times you get a little bit of volatility heading into the end of the US session, just like you do at the beginning when you're kind of coming off of UK into US. You see these, that's when this big move was, right? So a lot of times here when the US is finishing up, Cade, like you can sometimes get big pumps. And then during the gap, I try not to take any new positions. So during the gap, this could like trade up, right? This could be that period where this thing kind of works up, and then Asia could bring it back down, right? So that's kind of where I'm a little bit cautious first like hour to hour and a half of Asia, you kind of have to let it settle a little bit, just like you do with the US session, because that's where like all the volatility is. And I really don't like to take those big moves. I like to wait for that, and then I position for what comes after that shakes out. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question, dude. Like a lot of times, I'm trying to look at over here in this prior day, but I don't see any there. But you can go back, and that's why I have this market session indicator, because you can go back and you can see that a lot of times, right as like the U.S. is closing up, it does tend to have big moves. This is an example of it right here. Look, this was Friday. Oh God, I keep clicking on my channels and stuff and moving those. I'm not meaning to do that. But here, right, you can see here as US was coming into its close here, it started to kind of pump up, and then during the gap, right, price went higher, and then when Asia was opening up, it actually pulled back quite a bit, and then you saw Asia retrace some of that move, right? So Asia kind of stabilized a little bit, and then UK, US had continuation to the upside. So I'm kind of looking for something similar to that, not too different from this. You know, you had a similar W, price goes up, retest, right, and then it went higher. Same kind of thing that I think is able to play out here. It doesn't have to, right, but similar thing where you get same thing. W, can this go up higher? Maybe it chops during Asia, UK, and then heads up for US session tomorrow. Very similar to what happened back here. Same thing happened at the bottom of the channel as well, right? So yeah, we'll see if that happens. And look, clear invalidation of this is if price here comes below these lows, then that's clearly not happening, right? Clearly not happening. This area that I'm watching right here is a little 15-minute fair value gap that price did come right into. So at this point, you know, if price can swing up, you know, if Bitcoin can come up above this, it is now setting a higher high, and then this becomes your invalidation to the downside. You wouldn't want to see price action come below that swing after establishing a new high, right? Because then that tells you, okay, maybe something like that's going to happen.
How much do the fair value gaps make into your analysis when you're entering a trade?
For pullbacks is mainly what I use them for. Is like okay. For pullbacks and retests. Yeah, you find that even like on this big move, even on this larger move here, right? Like this big move up that we had, I was watching this 4-hour FEG here for price to move back into before you got continuation. And look, we're still kind of inside of that, right? You haven't made a new low. Why couldn't that play out after coming back basically into a key area of interest, right? On a move higher. So yeah, I use them. It's not like the main thing I use, but when I'm looking for pullbacks on where to add or where to like find my invalidations, I'm definitely using FEGs, especially these what we call like vector candles, which are not just a fair value gap, but it's a candle that also moved on volume. That's why it's highlighted either solid red or solid green, because you get these vector candle moves that are speed plus distance, right?
Yeah, 100%. Every time you say price, I just think of that.
I know. I do too. And I'm like, I need to find a different word for this instead of saying when. I'm just gonna say when the corn does this and the corn has something else. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm in the trade now. I'm waiting to see if it confirms. I'm happy to add to it. I mean, one simple way to even like Lady Trader likes to use these EMAs, right? And it'd be very similar to what I'm saying. Like if this comes up and confirms a 4-hour close above here, you've had a 4-hour candle above your short-term EMAs, your 13 and your 21. Like that's also a signal if you're an EMA trader. And then you're looking at, you know, the 50 and the 100 as your next targets to the upside. So yeah, let's see, dude. I mean, I'm kind of trading the flow here. Flow is that it's kind of slowly heading higher. I want to see if it continues. And then obviously this big ass red area up here is high time frame resistance where, you know, I'll take some profits. I'll be a little cautious. You've got the low of the previous year up there. And then, man, if we can get it up here to, you know, closer to 82 to 85, 86, that would be quite interesting.
Quite have you pulled up any of like, well, I guess this one's, I just, like in my head, I remember one of the last rooms we had done, we pulled up the inverted Ethereum chart. And it's when you were first I think it was when you first, I believe it was one of the first times you highlighted like a possible serious move down for Ethereum, like crazy price action that Tom Lee would probably have a heart attack and probably lose his job over type of movement on Ethereum. And I'm not sure. Do you use it on do you ever use that on Bitcoin at all, or is it mainly the altcoins?
No, for like the inverted charts. Yeah, I
Yeah.
invert BTC all the time. Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah, BTC just right now, I mean, it's I think if you can't see it in the standard chart, like I don't know that the inverted chart's going to give you that much. It's pretty clear, but I mean, look, I mean that's it right there. If I'm just eyeballing it, and the best way to do this would probably be like on a here. Let's go to like one that I know for a fact is not going to have a lot of junk on it. Okay. I mean, if someone just showed you that, right? Like, where would you say that chart's going? The inverted chart, right? Like, without doing a whole lot of analysis, where does that look like that's going? I mean, to me, it looks like, I'd say,
Better than that.
right around where it's at. It could run into a wall, right? Like, this is kind of my initial thought. Is like right around here, you've got these lows. You kind of had this chop. Whether you call it that or whether you say maybe it's here, like it's all the same thing. Tomato, right? It's kind of running into an area there. And then if I said, okay, if for some reason it does get above that, where is it going next? If it got above that, well, then you're like, man, I mean, you kind of start looking up here somewhere, right? You're like, well, maybe here kind of gets interesting, like somewhere around there gets interesting. Definitely if it's going to take out lows, you got those areas up there. In between that, I really don't see much else. Like you could maybe make the argument that here, maybe there's a little something, right? Again, this is more of like a fair value gap idea, but you've got some structure there. Sure. You had some highs, you had support resistance flip here. You had some, a couple bounces off of that. And then you put a gap on the move down. Like those are the levels I'd quickly identify for this chart. If it can get above here, if it can't get above here, right? If this chart is going to reject here and fail to get above that, where do I see it coming back down? Well, then I start saying, okay, well, I think it could come back for these lows. And if it can take that, then I think it can come down all the way here. Right? I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, it's, to me, again, like we're kind of bumping up into an area that I'd be paying attention, which is also why, like, although I do think that we're going lower, that there is a potential for a move to these lower levels, I think it makes a lot of sense that we might be getting a bounce here, man. Even if we drop a little bit more, I have a hard time thinking that we're going to take this 49K liquidity just yet. But we'll see. And if we do take it, though, I do think that the initial reaction could be quite positive initially. So yeah, we'll see, man. But look, this is why I'm really just kind of level by leveling this thing, though. I'm scalping BTC more than anything, and then I'm looking for maybe some longer term hold positions on some stuff. Like looking at Ethereum and ETH BTC, looking at ADA. I pulled up Doge after someone was talking about it on one of the spaces as well. But ADA looks pretty good to me. I think some of these are going to have massive moves if BTC behaves. If BTC gets like a daily or a weekly close above, if it got a weekly close above 74.5, oh man, I think people would get pretty excited,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we will basically see all the bulls back out. I mean, they've been holding the line. I don't know if you see on spaces even. Those guys have been doing non-stop spaces. I think they're really nervous that we're going to lose this level. Like, I think
of course they are
really nervous we're going to, because if we lose this level, it's kind of,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be rough.
Yeah,
we lose the 50K mark. We enter $40,000, $50,000 conversation. Like, that's going to be.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal for all the guys who were calling all the line drawers dumb, basically, at 120 something thousand because we said that they could go lower, right? But
it's just tough because they're buying in, they're DCAing, which is fine, but they're going to be thinking about the fact that they were DCAing at 120. Thinking there's
yeah. And here's the scary part, dude, is like when you build a DCA plan, I think you have to have in mind where your final purchase is going to be, right? Like if you're, let me clear this up. If you're DCAing, like let's say you did watch it top and it starts coming down, and let's say here during this period where we were between like 85 to 95, okay? Let's say during that period you said, okay, I'm gonna start DCAing because this thing does look like it's probably going lower. Well, you probably built your DCA plan with some kind of levels in mind, I would assume, because you kind of want to say, if I think what's the absolute lowest I can go, if I'm thinking the absolute lowest that this thing can go is, let's say 40K, right? Let's say I don't believe it's going to go below 40K. Well, then I want to DCA down to 40K. So I'm probably thinking like if it comes down, to 60K, I'm going to deploy 10% of my dry powder, right? If it goes down to 50K, I might deploy 30% more dry powder, right? 30% of what's left. If it goes down to, 40K, maybe I'm going to deploy 60%, right? So they're kind of building this with the levels in mind to the downside. The scary thing is, like, are some of these guys already out of dry powder or nearing those big DCAs where they're already throwing in 50, 60% plus? And
Well, I think
we've still got all this downside.
Well, I think the guys on Spaces, a lot of them have plenty. Their cost basis is definitely lower. Not all of them, but a good amount of them. It's just it's mainly the people that listen to them. That's why we switched so hard to the TA ones, and I got a lot of flack for they were like, you're siding with the traders. I'm like, dude, it's not about siding. It's just like you get people listening, and there are people here who obviously got into Bitcoin at a couple $1,000, and it's just not the same conversation. Like these people that are following you. Their average price is 120 because they're just now like, oh, you know what? This is really going to take off now. I got to get in, and they do. And now all of them are down 50%. Yeah. And it's like, dude, that you got to keep that in mind when you're like the way you package, the explanation of Bitcoin. And then when you pair it against the reality of the markets, and we're hitting a price where people are just not willing to bid on Bitcoin. And we're starting to get weaker and weaker and weaker. And you're like, guys, you can't ignore these. We're losing steam. The bulls are not buying at these levels the same way you thought they were going to be. Yeah. And all the fundamentals can be around you, and it just may not match up the way you guys were thinking. And I mean, probably because we were doing trading spaces every single day, it was just so obvious to me. I was like, this is not going out the way they think it's going to happen. I mean, unless we're entirely wrong and we're just going to get that God candle to $250,000, I just don't see that just doesn't seem to be what's going to be playing out.
No, that's I would think that betting on the God candle to 250K is no different than the guys that are saying that this thing is going to go to zero. Like both sound a bit unlikely. I don't know that they're impossible, right? But I'd say they sound a bit unlikely. But look, I think the trading spaces have definitely really leaned into like where's the data showing that this could potentially come back to. And one of the big ones that we really talked about even today with Tony, let me see if I can find it.
The chart that you pulled up where you guys both had the same levels.
Yeah, like the historical data one. Let me see if I can find it, because that's a useful one to look at. Let me see if I can find it real quick here.
I'll also look. I remember it.
It might be this one. Yeah, I think this is the one. Okay. Let me make sure I have some of the stuff hidden that I don't want. Yeah, okay, I'm always a little bit careful. Well, because sometimes I'm roasting people and stuff, and I may not want. I have their tweets pinned on some of these charts. I'm like, I don't know if this is a place to do that. But look, this is the 4-year cycle. This is if you're just a 4-year cycle believer, and you think that the data is just going to play out mathematically the same as it always has, this is basically it. This is the 4-year cycle, right? Like you're expecting the low to be somewhere around the first week of October. You do have like your drawdown is diminishing over time. You had 84% here. The one before that was 89% or something like that. Then 84%, 77%. Math tells you should be looking at about 72 to 74% for this upcoming one. That puts you kind of right here in this 34,800 ish. 34,500 to 34,800 ish. The timing for the highs is also like, it's accurate. 1065 days, 1066 days, 1065 days. Like all of that is very precise. From cycle low to cycle low is 1430 days, 1431 days, 1430 days if it hits again over here. So yeah, who knows, man? I mean, like this doesn't have to repeat. It's not some kind of rule of the universe that Bitcoin absolutely has to go this deep and absolutely has to take until this day. Nah, that's not what any of this is. This is just saying like, hey, let's look at the history of BTC. And if it were to continue doing that, what does that look like? And I think it's healthy to do this. It's healthy to do this so what that base expectation could be, right? It's like, hey, if it keeps doing what it's always done, this is where it's going to put it. And then from that point, after you've identified that, then you can go back and say, what are all the reasons why this might not happen this time, right? But I think you have to start with the thing that's like you start with the control, right? And in my perspective, saying that what's happened before is going to happen again that is the control. That's the most sensible, common sense thing, right? It's like until proven otherwise. Just like in the court of law, you're innocent until proven guilty. You don't just say, nope, this guy's guilty this time because here's why I think he's guilty. It's like, no, okay, maybe, but you have to start with he's innocent. Now prove why he's guilty. You have to start here with this is likely to repeat. Here's why I don't think that's the case. Here's all the factors that I think might be changing this time, or here's why, this is a flawed model or whatever. But you have to start with that this is what it's been doing up to this point, right? So
do you have this the same like markup and drawing on the Bitcoin versus gold chart? Does it like kind of nervous to see what it looks like? I mean, it's nicely marked up here. I don't know if you have it on both.
No, because it's been different, man. I mean, BTC against gold, it's just had a very different life cycle. This is BTC versus gold, and a lot of this has to do with, like up through 2021, Bitcoin against gold pretty much mirrored Bitcoin against the dollar. Right. It was really only after 2021, after COVID and the massive money printing that we did, that we see the divergence where Bitcoin against gold went kind of flat and Bitcoin against the dollar continued rising. And it makes sense, Cade, right? Like it makes sense if we think about it, because we know that here, let me put this one new price scale. It makes sense because we know that that we printed a lot of money. But you can see that they pretty much mirror each other, right? This was like Bitcoin versus dollars in the line chart, and then Bitcoin against gold in the candlesticks here. You can see they were moving pretty much in line with each other, right? It had blow off top and it pulled back. Like it's very, very similar, similar movement. I wouldn't quite say like it was overlap worthy, right? Like that's kind of what I'm doing here. But in terms of identifying, like you put in a high, you put in a low, and then you put in a higher high. Like this stuff was following, right? High, low, higher high, right? And then you had your divergence here, man. This is where, let me hide some of this stuff. This is where they really got out of sync. Is here in 2021, you had this little double top, same in the dollar chart versus the gold chart. But then here's where it changed. In dollars, check this out. Against the dollar chart, here back in February of 2024, February, March, we took out the 2021 highs, right? But you didn't do that. You didn't do that on the gold chart, right? So although your dollar chart did take out those 2021 highs back here in March, the Bitcoin over gold chart did not. In fact, it did not even put a new high in pre-halving.
Yeah.
You only got that on the dollar denomination, not on the gold denomination. And then what you saw is that on the dollar chart, you basically came down and you retested the 2021 highs as support, right? So even though you went above it, you came down, consolidated on those highs. Here you rejected from that, pulled back, and you really didn't get back to 2021 levels until end of 2024, right? November, December of 2024. And even then, you only really had a slight deviation. Dude, it was nothing. It was like it's less than 5% or something like that. This was nothing. Like if you were to grab the high here to the high here. Okay, so it was more than that. It was more than 5%. It's 8.72%. Less than 10%.
Wow.
Year to year, right? So it was nothing. But on the dollar chart, no, on the dollar chart, you had plenty, right? On the dollar chart, you saw, you saw 50% or something like that, right?
You remember the discussion with Matt when Matt Case came on with, or not Matt Case, Matt C and North
Matt
Star.
C. Yeah.
Because that was a good discussion because he was like, it's hard because people were talking about using gold as a new metric, and he was like, yeah, but like we just saw like a crazy pump, like can we use that, like, or is that just normal, or like are we assuming, is it too soon to like call for that when gold just had a move that was just like the first in years kind of thing?
Not. Nah, look, this is where the gold bugs will tell you, man, that it's gold doesn't go up or down. Everything else does relative to gold. Gold is the zero. It is neither +1 nor -1. Gold is zero, right? If you have a scale, like you have a vertical scale, right? And you have your zero line, and then you start going, +1, +2, +3 to the upside. And then below zero, you've got -1. Gold is that horizontal zero. Everything else either goes up against gold or it goes down against gold. And that makes sense if gold is a unit of measure, right? Gold is what you're measuring with. It's the starting point. You start with zero. So that's where I think Matt C still wasn't quite getting it, is like, yes, you're saying gold went up, but what we're saying is it did not go up. We're saying that everything else went down against gold, right? The dollar went down against gold. Bitcoin went down against gold. Equities go down against gold. Real world goods go down against gold. And then they also go up against gold, right? They become more valuable than gold. Right now, that's what North Star talks about with capital rotation. Right now, we're in a period where some of these things have underperformed gold, right? And you can see that with BTC. BTC has basically been flat since 2021 against gold. That's what this chart is showing here, right?
Yeah.
And we're actually approaching, we're approaching some levels where we're below 2017 values in that sense.
This is where the streams we did a long time ago, where we pulled up like a 100-year timeline.
Yeah.
And it was almost a joke. Now they're paying off, because it's like, if you weren't paying attention, because you brought up that on a space, you were like, no, like gold, like 40 years ago, this happened. Like you have to kind of know that a little bit now.
Yeah, dude, like it's interesting because I think we have a tendency to think, and obviously like I'm getting wiser as I'm getting older, right? But you have a tendency to think in your youth that, oh, everything's different now. It's impossible for the world to repeat the same things that humanity has done since the biblical times, even though somehow the biblical times were able to forecast how the future would be. Why? Because it understood human behavior. It understood that humans don't change. Technology changes, scenery changes, our materials of construction of choice might change, our methods of transportation might change, but we're still the same, flesh, blood, thoughts, emotions, like that doesn't really change, right? And my dad always told me, man, growing up, he's like, man, because I always thought the same thing, right? My dad would be like, you have to be careful. This is important. Don't do that, or where we talk politics. Oh, no, look, when I was young, I lived through this and that. I'm like, Dad, that stuff's old, man. Nobody cares. Like we got technology now. We got computers now. We've got, all this stuff now. And he would always tell me, you're going to see that it's all just the same, man. He's like, you don't think that my dad told me all these things and I didn't believe him because I thought, oh, we've got radio now. We've got TV now. We've got automobiles now. We've got, He's like,
Mm,
it's all the same thing. He's like, every generation thinks that they're smarter than the last one, and that the things that the last one had to deal with, that they won't ever
right.
have to deal with again. And so it stuck with me, man. And having kids now, and dude, I'm already at that point. It's wild. I was telling my dad, I was like, man, I remember how many times as you told me when I was younger that I was going to pay for all of the pain I put you through. When I had my own kids, like that's when he would be like rejoicing, watching me, you know what I mean? Like suffer the stuff that I made him suffer through. And he'd say it jokingly, right? But he would always tell me that you're going to see one day and you're going to pay because your kids are going to be even worse than you. And you're really gonna feel it. And now, dude, I'm sitting down and like one of my kids is really into YouTube content creation. He's got a channel and a bunch of stuff, but he gets like, he'll get depressed. It's like, the last week of videos, haven't really been doing. I'm like, dude, your job is not to create virality. Your job is to create content. You put the content out there. You just set a schedule. Say, if I'm making 5 videos a week, I'm making 5 videos a week. And that's your job. And if you did that, you did your job well. It's not your job to worry about what the algorithm is doing that week. Like that comes later, right? Just get consistent about it. Dad, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is how my dad felt. This is how my dad felt, trying to tell me stuff like wisdom, impart wisdom on me and help me, and me thinking I knew everything. And I'm like, oh God, he was so right. He was so right. So life is a funny thing, man. Life is a funny thing. Kids change everything, says TSN. Yes, they do, man. They absolutely do. Look, there's a meme that goes around, and it's less of a meme, and it's more of like it's more of a piece of wisdom, I would say, like one of those like motivational posters. But it just says basically like if you're an adult and you have kids, be careful to not take advice from people that don't have kids, because it's a totally different mindset. They may as well be a different species. They don't understand the things that you understand. Their values are not your values. Their ambitions are not your ambitions. Kids do change you. Kids change you tremendously. Having a family, having that responsibility tremendously changes you. So yeah, you have to be careful, man. So like, yeah, careful who you're following in that sense. Like someone with nothing to lose, nothing to protect. It's very easy for them to be a little more reckless and and just say, whatever, I'll just start again, or I'll do something else or whatever. But
Yeah, 1,000%.
Accountability, dude, it's huge. It's absolutely huge, man. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, dude, I don't know, man. This is gold against this is Bitcoin over gold. We can do Bitcoin over silver as well. Looks a little bit different. Not entirely. Looks worse. I will say it looks worse. So this is Bitcoin priced in silver here. Look, it's kind of leading, right? The dollar version is still up here. The silver one's already kind of catching a bounce down here. But look how closely this has actually mirrored. This is actually pretty close. If anything,
no kidding.
So someone show this one to Raoul Pal and the Real Vision guys and be like, look, this is the one you need to be overlaying on your charts here and saying that it's showing you what's coming next. Look at this. I mean, the silver one showed you right here what's coming next. This is barely going to catch up, man. We still got a ways to go. Where does that put it if it were to drop to here? Ouch, 15K. That'd be pretty brutal.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yeah, if the dollar follows the silver, man, it's down there under 30K for sure. Oh dang.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll really find out who the convicted Bitcoiners are.
Dude, look at this structure though between them. They have the same structure, the same highs. They bounced at the same point, whether it's the dollar or the silver one. The only difference is the silver one already came down to bear market lows, and the US dollar one has not. Is this, dude, this is the alpha. Is the silver chart telling us that Bitcoin is going to come and take out 2022 bear market lows?
Dude, that
Sub
would be
15K.
That'd be a really scary moment.
I need to clip this after the show. I got to go clip this and just save it. I just need to save it and put a memo somewhere that on this day, not as it called it, but on a like, did we discover that the charts were like foretelling this on this day by looking at Bitcoin priced in silver versus Bitcoin priced in dollars? Did we discover that it was foretelling a break of the bear market lows? This is
I'm
wild.
private chat, the minute 39.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Because it could be, dude. I don't know. I don't know that it is,
Please.
but if it came down, it's pretty cool that we covered it on a wolf stream.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
You know?
TSN, don't let this happen, brother. Just pick up the dip.
And
please.
we'll clip it. We'll take out all of this like chat about us not knowing, and we'll make it sound like we knew. We gave you the alpha on this day. We told you exactly where it was going because we knew.
Should have listened.
You should have listened. Yeah.
We should have been in cash as long as we were in cash, right?
should have sold the top exactly where we
been
did.
In cash since 2015.
Been in cash since 2015. Oh, that's hilarious. No, dude, but this is scary. This is Tony would like this one. Tony would like this chart.
Yeah, he would.
Dang. That is crazy. That is crazy. So I don't know, man. I mean, another way I've looked at it is Bitcoin over equities. Here, let me get this to go away. So this is BTC over SPX plus NDX. So I just kind of combined them. Here, let me clean this stuff up. This one's bleeding pretty hard too, though. It's on a nice little, get rid of that since that didn't hold. It's on a nice drop here. It's already below August 2024 lows. Yeah, same thing though. Still has room. I mean, is BTC against equities also going towards bear market lows? I don't know, man. Crazy stuff. And then the last one I like to look at is Bitcoin over GSG. So GSG is this commodity indexed trust, and it includes agriculture, energy, precious metals. So think of like, copper, think of like wheat, all that stuff is part of what makes GSG, right? So real world stuff. Like when you think about what is like real world value, it's my ability to buy, metals for construction or agricultural stuff to like feed my livestock, do stuff like that. Or energy, right? To supply energy to my house or my factory or whatever. So this kind of covers like GSG is like the real world value, real world tangible value that you can say, yeah, I can transmute my value into these things. So that's what this is. This is Bitcoin denominated in that. And I'm watching this channel. It's also coming down, but this one's actually here at this very key level. So Bitcoin against GSG actually built a very nice little consolidation here. This was March of 2024 through November of 2024. That's when right before the elections, right? And we're at that level, which also happens to kind of be the midpoint of this channel. I'm kind of curious: is Bitcoin actually bottoming here soon against commodities, against real world commodities, and could it head up towards the top of the channel again? At least I'd say towards these fib lines here. So it looks to me like it could probably get a little bit of a bounce here. Whether that drop is fully in or it still needs to do one more drop and then do something like that, who knows? But this is one of those that's kind of been screaming at me like, wow, you're coming up to a big level. There's a decent chance that this could hold here before it just rolls over. I don't see this thing just melting down like that just yet, but
right.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's kind of like, that's how I look at BTC, man. Like these are the four charts I always have is just my standard, the one I trade off of, which is just my Bitcoin Binance chart where I'm looking for TA just on a day-to-day, week-to-week. Look how beautifully it's holding that fair value gap, by the way. Come on, man, get a nice little pop-up and send this thing. And then I look at it against the metals down here. So I have it in silver or gold. Then I look at it against equities up here in this corner. And then I look at it against commodities down here in this one. And I try and just kind of get a pulse of, do I think Bitcoin is ultimately bearish or bullish? Is there a likelihood of, it going higher or going lower in the midterm?
That makes sense. I was going to say also, TSN asked if you were compare tech stocks to silver.
I have not recently, but I've put a lot of stuff over gold and silver. I know I did put. I guess it might have been the Qs. Might have been the Qs over silver a while back. But what is he saying here though about I don't like that correlation. Is that the silver one? What was the shift?
546 5 minutes ago. It would have been. It might have had to do with Bitcoin breaking the 2022 bear market prices. Actually,
Yeah, TSN. Let me know which one you're talking about the correlation and about the shift range. Which ones were that you were talking about? And then he says, so a CPI, yeah, but I think it's more accurate than CPI. I think it's more accurate to look at it through this versus looking at CPI. Yeah, that's why I do it that way.
Yeah, he was talking about silver.
Okay. Yeah, Bitcoin over silver. Yeah, that is kind of scary.
Yeah, we'll delete that TSN. Don't worry, it didn't happen.
Unless it plays out, and then it's like
that happened.
We're gonna be paid promoting this thing, man. We're gonna be slamming dollars at it.
Oh man.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And then other than that, look, dude, I've been watching some of these majors. ETH, ETH is potentially maybe trying to bottom here again, like keeping it simple, right? Big move down, you're back here near prior lows. Still a long ways down to 2025 low. So this was that 2025 low. We're about halfway through that maybe. I'm trying to see if it's going to bounce here or if I'm going to have to flip this zone red. I'm not fully convinced yet that I need to. I think I need a little bit more information, but there could be a potential that I need to flip that red, and we're now looking at a resistance here at like 2000 basically. So that's kind of what I'm watching, but it's still like hovering in proximity of the zone. So I haven't quite flipped it, but man, there could be a good chance. There could be a decent chance that this thing just pops up one more time and then moves away from the zone. The only reason I haven't is the Bitcoin or the ETH BTC chart, because this is ETH BTC. And if you notice, when ETH bottomed against BTC back here last year, it did leave this massive gap here, right? So you have this huge gap on a weekly chart, and we're just now moving in to fill that. So just like we fill CME gaps or fair value gaps in like low time frames, there's a possibility this thing is just doing a pullback into the gap, basically just to fill this inefficiency, and then it goes. So this is kind of what's keeping me still holding a bullish, I don't want to see bullish, but a positive bias for a potential that the ETH could try and find a low and could try and move up a little bit and keep this zone as support, as opposed to just flipping it over to resistance right away. But yeah, some of the other ones don't look as great though. Sol looks horrible. We'll hit on Sol. But yeah, look, Sol, it's hard to argue that this was a major 2-year support, and now we've just lost it in an epic fashion. I just don't see this being reclaimed and then we just go on like nothing. I don't see that. Typically, if that were to happen, it would be like this. It would be in a fast V shape, a wick. It wouldn't be spending weeks below that, right? I think what's more likely is if Sol does come up, I think it's just going to reject, man. I think more than likely now 120 to 130 is going to be a ceiling for Solana. And then look, things don't look great after that, because then where's it going? Volume profile is telling me to look down there.
Yeah. Right? Wow.
Yeah. And what's to say it can't go below these lows? Everyone thought they got their generational never sold below $10. What's to say that these are even safe?
At that point, if it loses those,
it's broken.
It'll be tough to make an argument even to, maybe for a trade, but like, I don't know, dude. Sol could get replaced by Hype or literally any other token that is popping that people are using.
Yep.
Like for me, I thought Ton would do well because like Ton's Telegram ecosystem. I thought that had a chance of doing well. Everyone's got like these pops where they have like their moment in the sun, but Solana's had a pretty good narrative up until now. I feel like with the meme coins, they really went like full steroid moment for a little while, and then now I'm like, man, did they burn too many people?
I mean, they had no other use case other than casino, right? I mean,
that's what we're seeing with Ethereum. Like Ethereum had big NFT season, and then really has never.
There's nothing else.
We were supposed to break 10K on Ethereum. Didn't even get close this time around.
Yeah, even Sol BTC looks rough. I mean, we're down here already.
That's rough. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, could you do that? Right. This would be like the bullish cases, like clean up and then try and reclaim that. But maybe. I mean, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. If it does here, like it could do something like that. But if not, the next big zone is under these lows, and that's Sol BTC. That would be a dude. I mean, that's a massive drop. That's 50 to 70% lower against BTC.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be massive. Yeah, 3-month chart. I mean, you've got this huge candle that it's basically just coming down and everything's an inside bar. You like this is so clean to look at it on a 3-month view. I bet even the 6-month view is pretty clean. Yeah, the 6-month view is the cleanest. Check this out. So let me clean this up here. So you basically just had a swing failure above that 6-month candle here. So you deviated to the top, and now you're filling the body of this candle. Your range is effectively this, right? And so I don't know. You swept range high. Why isn't it coming to range low? You're kind of at the 50% zone. So there is, could you say that there's a chance that this is potentially going to bounce at like the 50%? Maybe. You're right there. That's the 50% right here. So it's either getting a bounce here in the middle, or the draw, as they say, is down at the bottom. Maybe, man. Doesn't look good.
I can see why you have these thoughts about Solana now. It makes a lot more sense. This is rough, dude.
Yeah. No, Sol does not look good. Sol does not look good at all. And then it looks even worse if you here. This is Sol's market cap. So Sol's market cap was holding, even though the price was like doing all kinds of stuff, the market cap was holding 2021 high as the floor, right? So this is 2021's high. It held it here after it broke up in March of 24. Actually, no, this was March of 24. We broke up, came back, sat on it as support back here at the end of this was Q1, Q2 of 2025. So around the same time. So you have like Q1 of 24 held at a support, Q1 of 25 held at a support, Q1 of 26 we lost it as support. What's to say that now that you've lost this multi-year support, that it doesn't just come back up here, get some kind of bearish retest, and then head lower? I mean, where would this go if you've lost that? I mean, to me, it's down there. But what, like, dude, you're going from at its peak, 140 something billion dollar market cap, it's down to 48 billion. What happens to Sol if it's down here under 20 billion?
I'm not sure it's coming back if it drops to those levels, dude.
This looks brutal, dude. This market cap chart is the main reason why I was so bearish on Solana, because I would put the token chart next to the market cap one, and I'm like, this thing it's toast. There's no way. Yeah, I'll have to look up which one it was, but yeah, comparing the two, it was just, man, it was obvious. This thing signaled when the high was in well before the token chart told you the high was in. Yeah, it's brutal. Sol does not look good. And XRP is kind of doing the same thing. I mean, you have to kind of wonder. XRP is doing a similar thing, right? I mean, if you're looking at this chart, You've got a one year long support. We're
What a
now
run!
hell of a run, hell of a
God,
run,
what a run!
hell of a run. If you were accumulating down here, you had an opportunity at a nice
Yeah, totally.
400 or 500% move, brilliant. But same thing, this held us support for that for this entire period. We've lost it. What's the reasonable expectation here? Is that this thing's going to probably come up, and it's probably going to do that.
$10, $10 XRP.
Brutal.
We need it.
Brutal. Man, I had a buddy. This guy, dude. He was a top. He was a top. No, I don't think he was top 10. I think he was top 50 holder of XRP.
What?
Down at 18 cents was his cost down here at 18 cents. And he sold it all right here somewhere like at 34, 35 cents. He didn't sell he didn't sell this move. He didn't sell that. Held it. Sold it down here. And this was this was a 6-figure position at 18 cents. You imagine what it went to here, and then he ended up selling it here.
That's where like I would be consulting every TA guy I know. If I had that position, I'd be like, look, I need to not screw this up. Like when I made my first like 5-figure trade in like 2021, I'd loaded into Dogecoin at like a bajillionth of a cent or whatever, and then it wrote up I think it was at like maybe 15 or 20 cents for the first time I like noticed that I was up, and I was like, wait, what happened? Yeah. And basically I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. And so I went online, and there was this concept. They're like, yeah, just DCA out of your position every level, just sell some. Like here's a point. And I basically like drew a couple lines on the chart, and I was like, okay, like if it keeps going up, I'm selling 10% here, 20% here. And I exited. I was out of the position around 50 cents, I think, almost entirely, like 95% out. Yeah. And I actually like did pretty well on that trade. I remember, and I was like, wow, like imagine if I sold my entire bag at 10, 15, 20 cents. Like that would have been rough watching that run up. And if it wasn't for the TA people and the line people, I would not have, I mean, I lost all that money about a month later, but it was cool while it lasted.
Yeah. Yeah. What's sad is I was telling him so hard to sell it when it was up here and started making these lower highs.
Are you really?
But yeah, dude. But he was deep in the XRP. Like you can't buy 6 figures of XRP and not believe that they're gonna flip the switch and the whole world is running on it. And
that's right.
Like, you know what I mean? So he was up here, dude. He thought it was it. This is my moment. Yep. I bought it at 18 cents, dude. It's up here at $1.50. Oh man, they're about to flip the switch. And this was after COVID. So there was like the COVID was the reset. That was the test. That's when they're resetting and they're printing the dollars because it's not going to matter anymore. And the Swift system and he was all about that.
Swift system.
Yeah, dude, he was all in that. And then it was like down here. It's like, yeah, I probably need to sell it.
No. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, this is why narratives are dangerous, dude. I remember I've only round tripped a 6-figure position once, and it hurt so bad I will never do it again. But yeah, I bought a I can't remember what the coin was, but this was back in 18 or 19. Bought one of those ICO things that was happening. Yeah, crypto. Oh yeah, crypto. Wow. Put in like $2,500, turned into a very nice 6-figure bag, and I basically ran it all the way back down to, I mean, when I sold it, it was probably worth like 5 figures or something like that, mid 5 figures or something, but still it pissed me off. And I was like, no. And that's after I had already bought and round tripped BTC from buying all of 2017's pump into that high at 20K and then watching that thing roll all the way down. And then I did it again with this thing in like 18, 19 during like the ICO season or whatever that was. And I was like, this is retarded. I got to quit doing that. I'm going to trade these things. I'm not buying the technology. I'm not in it for the future. I'm not in it for the collapse of society. I'm in it to make some money and put it in my pocket. And that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's rough, but I've also missed out on a lot of stuff that probably could have gone to tens of millions if I had just held it. But I think it's part of the game, dude. You just, it is what it is,
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that's pretty much it though. Like that's kind of what I cover on these Tuesday ones. Don't really get into like a lot of the alt plays and stuff. Typically I'll do that like in the evening sessions where people are kind of chilling and a little more degen-y. But yeah, dude, just BTC occupies me pretty much during the daytime, just kind of playing the Bitcoin levels. So but yeah, dude.
TSN, I appreciate you being in the chat, and a few others as well. Thanks for coming through. I know X is not like the most fun platform to be in the chat in. It's like,
No,
it doesn't feel like you're in the chat, like the YouTube's different. Like if you got a crowd in the YouTube chat, like it's just different. I don't know. X has a little bit of work to do on the stream side of things and Spaces, honestly. Like they could and should have a chat for Spaces. The fact that they don't is a crime.
I know.
In the comments, it's okay. It's just not the same, dude. It's not the same. Like that chat would be active if we had a Spaces chat. I know it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%.
Sorry, Carl.
What's up, Carl? Yeah. Thanks for coming. Yeah. All right. Well, look, I think that's it. That's a wrap.
Oh yeah.
We'll look at some more of these throughout the week. We've got the daily trader talk shows that we're doing on X, the Spaces. Cade's on streams all week long for macro, for RWA, for this, for that, for everything just about. I'm doing Spaces and streams just about every single day at all times of the day as well. So look, guys, just tune in. If this is stuff you like to watch, this is content you like to consume, set notifications, tune in, jump on these, watch replays, share them out. Very easy way to support is just make sure you're liking, commenting, reposting this stuff. Again, shout out to Ostium for helping us make these shows a possibility, bringing you guys some of this analysis here on X and on YouTube, and shout out to Wolf for giving me the opportunity to do these, man. These are fun. I really like these.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Thanks for doing this. This is
of course,
very, very educational for the people out there to see it up on the chart. So as always, man, appreciate you and everyone in the chat. Thank you all so much for coming through, and everyone who's silently watching, silently supporting. Appreciate all of you.
100%, man. All right, guys. Until next time, take it easy.
Peace.